These little things come from the Dollar Tree. They are so cute. I knew I had to have one. I just wasn't quite sure what to do with them until I saw it in person, and then I thought, yep, this is going to be a little planter pot. Be sure you check yours and make sure it's not broken before you leave the store. I just have a foam ball here. Use a square, use whatever you have as long as it fits. I'm going to add some hot glue on it so it won't move around. I have hot bush from the Dollar Tree. I have a thrifted pick, and then I have some maple garland from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to dismantle my maple garland, pull off all of these little pieces because we are going to transform this one garland into several leaf picks. So here's the stem where I cut my hot bush off. I cut those off halfway so that they would be short. Now I'm going to take the remainder of those and cut those off to use as picks to go in our leaves. So nothing is wasted here. Isn't that perfect? You can use a dot of glue if you need to hold these in place. I did on a few of these, but most of them fit nicely on the stem so they won't slide around. So simple. And you get a whole lot of picks. So you're going to push those in and place them around. Now you know with your arrangements, be sure that you are following some type of a pattern. You want to put your greenery down first. This is a short squatty arrangement, so I'm going to place these down, and to not completely cover his face, I want to leave a little opening there. And I'm kind of following a pattern. You want to do somewhat triangle, so there's 1, 2, 3 are hot bushes in a triangle. I'm going to add here, so there's a triangle on the top as well. Then I'm going to add in some more of those where it makes sense to me. Here are the little berries from that garland. I'm using those too. And I'm just going to fluff those out. Now, moving on to this. I only had one of these picks. I'm going to take it apart because it was really too big for the project anyway. Pull all those pieces off. They don't have little openings on the end where you can push a pick through them. So I'm going to show you an alternative way to make picks out of these. Take 1 or 2 of these, put them together, line them up on another piece of that wire that you have, of the pick wire, and then start twisting and pulling on the floral tape. When you pull the floral tape, that's what makes it start to stick. It's waxy. It's not sticky like a regular tape, so don't be misled by that. Put a little bit of pressure on that and twist it. Then when you pull the end loose, it will stick to itself, and it makes the perfect little pick. It's dark green. You can get these floral tapes in a variety of colors, but it matches what I'm doing, and you can't see anyhow down on the inside of this little short squatty arrangement. So I'm just going to place these around where they're not too close to one another so they're spread out and that the color green is spread through here. I think these colors are perfect for a cottagey feel. What do you think? Okay, so I have a couple of little pieces left that were broken, and I'm just going to go in and add those in here. And by broken, I mean I didn't have enough picks for them, and some of them had a little bit of damage on the stem and they needed a little bit of extra love, so I just fixed them up, and now I'm going to glue those in. Okay, so here's the base of a pick. We're going to cut all that randomness off the top. I'm going to use this little fall piece that I took off of a pumpkin that I did earlier, and I'm going to add that right on there. Trying to put it in a place where it's not so obvious that there's a big green pick behind it. Clean up any extra glue before it dries, and then I'm going to press that down into there, and it's really not even going to be noticeable. Oh my goodness, the cuteness. What do you think? I'm having all kinds of Dollar Tree cuteness with these projects.
Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to be using these little photo prop picks and a thrifted pumpkin and some houses from Dollar Tree and some scrapbook paper or crafting paper or wrapping paper, whatever you have, and then a piece of this cork adhesive paper that's in the background. It's just scrap I have left. Gonna need your glue gun, your scissors, glue stick from Dollar Tree, and if you see there in the right corner, that is my daughter crafting with me. She likes to get her craft on while I'm crafting, so that's her design up there. We're going to remove the backs. You can just press with your thumbs and those will pretty much pop out. Sometimes the paper comes out easily, sometimes it sticks. But if you have any on the edges, you can take a regular nail file, got this from Dollar Tree, and just file that down. And the pieces should come off fairly easily. So we have 3 houses of 3 different sizes, and I'm just fitting in my photo props to see what's going to work the best. Those were really easy to pull off the pics too. Now I'm looking at my paper to decide what background is going to look the best for the colors that we have. So see, there's some remnants of the old paper, but we don't care about that. It's going to be covered, not a problem. I'm going to turn it over and measure. And remember, part of the frame is going to cover some of the edges, so I'm just moving this down a little bit to allow for the width of the frame, just to make sure that I have enough paper to cover everything and there's no gaps. So I'm cutting right to the inside of my lines and just using a glue stick that came from Dollar Tree. Came in a multi-pack with the school supplies, by the way. I think there were 8 in a pack, so it's a really good deal. Just going to put that down and use my handy dandy ruler to make it lay nice and flat. So here I am doing the same thing on one of the other houses. And you'll see the gaps on the side, but that won't matter because the frame will cover it. Okay, so the cork adhesive sheet is going to be a little bit different because it has a little thickness that the paper does not have. So we want to allow for that so that the frame can seat down nicely around the cork. And it will pretty much be sitting back in its original position against the backing. So the frame will sit flush against the backing. So to allow for that, I'm going to cut maybe a 1/8 of an inch, something like that, to the inside, just about the width of whatever the frame width is. I'm just kind of estimating, so I'm cutting it there, and I'm also going to cut it on the other side, but you don't see that in the clip. I'm going to center it, peel off this little plastic paper backing, and just center it onto the back. And then there is a little gap there because I estimated, so I'm just going to use this in a few minutes and trim it up on the inside. Using the hot glue, I'm going around the edges here and replacing the backs. And it looks kind of like faux shiplaps. By the way, the music I chose is because this is kind of coffee shop music, and I thought it would be appropriate for our pumpkin spice cup up there. Okay, so see there's a space there. You're going to just put your glue there, fit the frame back on top. And here are my little rubber fingertips. These keep your fingers safe, keep you from getting burned. They came from the Dollar Tree in a 3-pack, and it looks fine. And here are my 3 houses. And these are the items that are going to go in each one. So I'm going to take the pumpkin spice cup, and I have some of these foam dimensional stickers. They're by 3M, but you can get something like this at Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to layer them because I want them to stand up off of the background. So I'm going to layer 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom, and that's going to give it a little depth when you put it into the frame. All right, I'm going to do the same thing to my pumpkin topiary or pumpkin tower, whatever that is over there, and press him firmly down in the frame too. The Happy Harvest pumpkin over there is one that I thrifted, and if you'll see in one of my first 2 videos, I actually made that one over. So I'm going to use it now. I'm going to use a little Gorilla Glue so that it stays for a long time, and I'm going to use hot glue for a quick fix. Okay, so you're going to take a pick of your choice. This came from Dollar Tree, and you can put some leaves in this or around it. You can use the berries, which is what I'm going to use, and just cut it into pieces. Use it as an accent wherever you wish. I'm going to add a little into the corner where my pumpkin spice and everything nice cup is. Then you can see I've already put some on the Happy Harvest pumpkin up there. And then this is some thrifted raffia. You can use the hula skirts from Dollar Tree if you like, but I went ahead and used this. All I did was just tie one of the little strings of it around the center to hold it together and give it a place to hold the glue and hold in place. And did it there for the pumpkins as well. And this one I'm going to do the same way, and with a little tie in the middle. But rather than gluing it straight onto the bottom, I've done it sort of at an angle. And so here the three are together, and I'm just going to add a couple more berries along here and there to complete my look. I hope you're enjoying these fall videos. If you do, please give it a thumbs up. Bye. I'm going to start off with just some florals and some things that I think I might want to use, and just a folder. It's a metallic big cat print. It's leopard or cheetah, whichever one. I'm going to take this little pumpkin from Dollar Tree, pull that off. I think I'm going to use the side with the print on it, cover that up, and I'll still have the back as a plain color. So I'm just going to take this folder. You can use paper, construction paper, you can use crafting paper. I cut a little bit to the inside of the line to make sure that I get a good fit on the front. Okay, so because I don't want my edges or the sides where I might have missed it a little bit, I don't want it to show, so I've got my choice of two brown paints here. So I've decided on the lighter one, matches a little bit better. I'm gonna go ahead and get my favorite paintbrush, and I don't need to waste paint, so I'm just gonna go around the edges here so it won't show if I made a miscut, and then all around the edges of the pumpkin on the sides. I did do 2 coats of these, and I used a hair dryer to help facilitate the drying process. Trying to be careful to leave that back solid orange, because at some point I might want to do a little something different on the back side. Alright, we're back and it's all dry, and you can see that it dried a little bit darker. And then I'm going to take my glue gun with my Gorilla Glue sticks and go around the edges, but not so close that it squishes out. We want it to have a nice finished look. One strip down the middle. So I've taken a Dollar Tree leaf and then a scrap leaf that I already had. I trimmed that, the one that's already down, I trimmed it up a little bit. And then I'm just going to trim this one up as well. So I'm just taking a piece of this wire jute from Dollar Tree, wrapping it around my pen, and then I'll slide that off. And it just takes a little hot glue on the ends and twist it back so that it stays down, which I have already done. And I'm going to glue that to the stem. Now I got to get the right placement for these leaves. You can do it any way you want to. If you want to stand it up and put them on the top sides, you can do that. However you want to do it. And I'm just going to layer in some more leaves. It is our leopard or cheetah print, wildcat, big cat decor. Just adding this little bow back on there because it needed a little extra love. See more.
We're going to start off with one of these little banks from the Dollar Tree, one of these little pumpkin containers, and a little metal sign here. Plus I'm going to be using a pumpkin that came from Dollar Tree last year that I've already DIY'd. Okay, so here are our transfer stickers. I found 4. I was so excited. I hope you can find them. We're going to start off with a little bank. It's got gold glitter on the outside. I'm going to open it, peel out that paper. It comes off really easy, and then take some fingernail polish remover and take the writing right off of it. Now you just take any type of scrapbook paper that you have. I happen to have some of these little pads that originally came from Target. In order to get the right size, I'm going to flip the backing down onto the top of it and just trace it with my pencil and cut it out. I'm going to use my glue stick and then go over that, flip my paper over. I'm just choosing which side I want to use and then pressing it down. I'm using a wallpaper tool. Now I've chosen to use this Grateful, Thankful, and Blessed decal for this one. I'm just kind of eyeballing it. I know I use that word a lot. I'm just kind of getting an idea of what the center would be. Now you got to hold it still so that it doesn't slide around, and start pressing it down. I want to let you know that it took a lot of elbow grease to get this one on this embossed paper. I edited a lot of that out, but I finally ended up having better luck using the back of my little spatula over there, pressing it down. Take your time when you do it. Okay, so now I'm gonna, see there? Giving it a little check and it looks good. I'm I'm going to take some of this pumpkin scented pine cones. They smell delicious. Not like cinnamon, but more like a fall scented candle. I'm going to open this little bag. This did come from the Dollar Tree. And I've decided I want to make this like a shaker. So I'm going to take my little pieces out. There's tiny pine cones and little pieces that look like pumpkins in there. And I'm just going to put those around in the bottom. I'm not just emptying the bag because I don't want all those little pine seeds to go flying all over the place. They get static electricity and they make a mess in there. So I'm placing those around in there. Yep, they fit. I even have a couple of extra pieces for another project. I'm going to put my back on. Just press it down. See, no need for a perfect cut there. And this is what it looks like so far. I did put the little slot for where you put the money in. I put that on the bottom. Now we're going to use the same tag that came from that little bag. We're just going to cut that little orange strip off and recycle it, and it's going to cover up the hole in the bottom. Use a little hot glue and just put that right down. Now you don't have to worry about it looking unfinished if anybody lifts it up and wants to shake it. There you go. Bottom, and it smells amazing. Okay, so the next project, we're going to use this little container. I don't know what this is actually. It's too small to be a napkin holder, but you'll see how I use it. I've got an idea for it. A yellow checked. It's kind of at an angle though. But it's really pretty. We're going to use some glue again. Really simple. This just dries and is less messy in my experience than Mod Podge. I do like Mod Podge on other projects though. But just for this and for time's sake, we're going to use a little glue. Okay, so I'm just using that tool again, and I'm just going to press it down, make sure there's no bubbles, and we want to have a nice, smooth, finished look. Okay, so I'm going to take my little foam sanding block, also from Dollar Tree, and just go around my edges to make sure that I have a nice, clean edge, and it's going to shear off all the little extras. Now to choose which sticker I want to use for this. I think we'll use this one. Pumpkin spice and everything nice. So cute. I'm going to trim it off so that I can even it up and get it flush where I want it on the bottom. And that looks good. Now without moving your hand, you got to hold it down. You want to just kind of burnish this down. You really want to work on it. And again, I grabbed this tool knowing that I wouldn't have good results. So I do end up going to my spatula, really putting some elbow grease in it. And then you want to do this very slowly. Peel it up very slowly so you don't pull anything off and make a mess. So of course, I want my little gingham ribbon to be on this pumpkin. I don't mind it with this though, because one is so small and the other's larger. Doesn't bother me at all. This is just mine. You make yours your own. That's what it's all about. Okay, so I'm just going to glue that right on the stem on the top. Isn't she cute? All right, now I've decided that since the little bottom hasn't been painted or finished here, I'm going to finish it with some ribbon. Some other suggestions: you could use the furniture repair markers. You could use a little bit of paint. You can use a permanent marker to go around your edges if you would like to finish it off. And the great thing about this particular project is that we're going to give it two sides. Okay, continuing all the way around till we get back to our original spot, and then I'm just going to trim that off neatly, and there we go. Now I really love this print when I was looking through here. I think I'm going to try this on the back. So here we go again, same process. We're going to trace it out, we're going to cut it out, put it all over here. Don't worry about those little cutouts, you are not going to even know they were there. Take that pumpkin, place it down, rub it on there, then you're going to sand it down. I'm going to take some of this Dollar Tree ribbon, and I'm going to make another bow exactly the same as the other bow, but this one I'm going to place a little bit lower down on the pumpkin instead of putting it up there high on the stem. It's going to be kind of under the stem. Simple projects, you know, simple looks. See, this one's going to be a little bit under. So rather than a hair bow, it's a bow tie. No extras. I think it looks good just like this. And this is how I'm going to use it. These are my craft supplies. I'm going to put them on my crafting table and just add a couple of tools that I use regularly. Look at that. Isn't that cute? You can make this as a gift for someone too. Give a fellow crafter a gift. Okay, so here we go with the next one. This is a little metal house from Dollar Tree. I'm just using my pumpkin for the last project. I'm putting it under there just to support it while I am working on it. It's a very highly reflective surface, so I want to be sure I can see what I'm doing. The camera lights will give a glare, as you can see there to the right, and my eyes aren't as good as they used to be. Place it down carefully where I want it to be, and then hold it down, and then this time I'm using a different tool. This is a little wooden tool. I thought it was cute, and I thought it could be used for this exact thing. So after it is put down, you can just peel this up. And I will tell you that using it on the metal seemed to work better for me than any other way. I'm going to put a little wreath on there, and I'm going to make my own wreath with some of this rope. So I'm going to fold it over. I know how big I want it to be because I measured on the top, kind of looked at it. I'm going to squeeze it together. I'm going to hold it there for a minute now. I edited that part out so you wouldn't be bored. Then I'm going to use my cutters and just cut off the excess at a slant, so when I add some hot glue, I can roll it down on itself to make a nice circle. So I'm just adding that to the little ends before they fray, using my finger protectors. These came with my Monvic glue gun. And then I'm going to find its placement on the top. And I think I want to add a little ribbon and a flower to this. Same bow, y'all, same process. I hope I'm not boring y'all with this. This particular video and these projects to be on the simple side. And y'all, these would be great on a tiered tray. If you have ones that have a lot of space between the layers, I think these would be so precious, even on a coffee bar or something like that, because they're small. You know, they would look great in a china cabinet. Layer it up with some dishes underneath, some white dishes, would be so pretty. Okay, gonna use a little hot glue so that I can put it down on my little house. And remember, metal gets very hot with hot glue, so just be careful. All right, and I'm gonna add my little bow to the top. Now I can put the flower down. And I think I'm gonna put it in the middle. Yep, she's right there in the middle. So there you go. That one is complete. Next project. I'm just getting another piece of paper to go with my happy fall, y'all. I'm going to trace it. You can see I had already done a project on that pumpkin before. I'm going to cut this one out. Same thing. Once I get the right size, I'm going to glue it down. Same thing. Okay, y'all, so we're pressing it down, and we're going to take our sanding block and we're going to sand away all those little edges. This is going to make it nice and crisp. Now for placement, I think I'm going to slide it down like this so it's in the part of the pattern that is not quite so busy. It will stand out just a little bit more. So right here will work. Okay, now I'm holding it down again. Always keep one hand on there, and then I'm just rubbing this on really firmly, and there you go. This is how this one is going to look. I'm going to take some of this wire jute, and we're going to make a little tendril for the top, a little curly, pumpkin curly. Little hot glue around the stem, which by the way I did sand also. It was brown and I sanded it to make it look a little more rustic. Then I'm going to press that down in there and just kind of work with that tendril a little bit, a little vine. And I'm going to use one of these leaves that came from the thrift store, put it right on top. I think that color, that wine color, looks great with that. What do you think?
What you're going to need are a brown and a copper spray paint and an apple juice bottle. This one has leaves on it, so I thought it would be cute. So we have brown and metallic copper. I actually chose to use, instead of the copper spray paint, I've chosen to use the copper paint. So I've already turned the bottle upside down and gave it a good spray of the brown, and you can see that it's kind of flecked heavier in some areas, and others you can kind of see the light shining through it. So I'm going to use copper there. Just going to put a little bit in. I don't want to waste this paint. I thought it would take several coats, but man, you can see here, it really comes on strong. The Dollar Tree paintbrush. So I'm just going to go around the neck and the top part of the bottle and have it kind of feathered down into the brown.
So that's what I'm kind of aiming for. See, the leaf print is so cute. I thought that if we use the brown and the copper, it might actually look kind of like earthenware or like a jar or a jug instead of glass. And I think I accomplished that. You'll see in the end. So it took just one coat of paint. And I'm going to let that dry, and I had lots of things to do, so I let it dry for several hours until I came back down. And it was perfectly dry. No bubbles, no streaks, no scratches. I thought that these colors would complement the copper and the brown, so this is the one I chose. Just bending it with my hand and then pinching it with my pliers so that it will fit nicely down into my little vase or my jug. This is how it turned out, and I think it is really nice for what it is. It's just an upcycle, something simple. It didn't take me long to do. It definitely didn't cost a lot of money. We're going to use the craft knife. We're going to use some type of a base. I'm just going to use a wood round ornament. I have a square leaf. You can find these about anywhere. And then a little pad of fall paper. I'm looking for a color or a print that I like, and I believe that I will use this grateful sign. Give thanks, Thanksgiving. Yep, this will be a good one for this project. This glue stick will work perfectly to put this down. Again, I've said it a billion times. I know I say it a lot. But get all those corners, get all the edges. You want it to stick down well for you because it's easier to deal with when it comes to cutting it out. And it gives it a better finished look. I'm going to take my wallpaper smoother and smooth it down from the inside outward. We want those bubbles to run away from us, so we press them to the outside. Whatever you want to use to cut out, you can use to cut out. I'm just going to use my little utility knife, my craft knife, my cutter, whatever you want to call it. These are not going to be perfect, and I am not aiming for perfection because in this project we will be using some sanding to get our edges in the right shape. So you can see there's some little excess that didn't come off, just like that. Instead of the sanding block, I'm going to use a folded piece of sandpaper because it will get into those cracks and corners and curves a little bit easier. So I'm just going to use this to start with, and you can see there that it is sanding it smoothly down. Check this trick out. This is an emery board or a fingernail file. You can use this to get in those tight spaces to really work those little pieces out of there. Okay, so once it is done, this is how it looks. You can Mod Podge over the top if you would like, but you don't have to. And you could also do both sides if you wanted something reversible. But for my home, I'm going to leave it a little bit more on the rustic side. So I'm trying to see where I need my glue to go, and I'm going to add it straight on down on my wood round. So this is it so far once the glue is set up. And I'm going to layer one more leaf on top. This is a leaf ornament. This came from the thrift store. You can use a regular leaf on top and put a sticker on it, or you can put a sticker right on top of your leaf, whatever you want to do. And I'm just going to add that down. It doesn't fit perfectly like a puzzle piece, but it's close enough. And I'm not looking for perfection. Look at that. Isn't that sweet? Thankful for you. I'm thankful for you. All my subscribers, anybody who watches my videos, every thumbs up, every share, every like. I am very thankful for all of that. I never take it for granted. Okay, so to finish off this little leaf, I'm going to just use a piece of this cotton twine, make me a tiny little bow, and I'm going to put that right on that little opening on the top. What do you think about that? All right, I'm going to start off with some black tags. You can get them almost any place that you get crafts. Mine happen to have come from Dirt Cheap, but they were actually originally from Target. You can see the dollar spot tag on the back. So I've got 4 of those, and I've got this bottle wrapper, Halloween bottle wrapper that originally came from Target. And I'm going to use the ghost from this to put onto my tags. And my tags are perforated on the top. You don't have to have them that way. You can get whatever type of a tag you want as long as it'll accommodate the size of the figurine you want to use. You could use witches or pumpkins or whatever you want to use. Find out where they're going to live on our tags. Now, to reinforce these tags, because they're thin, they're not a thick cardstock, right around the edges and below the line of where it's perforated on the top so it doesn't show through. And I'm going to do that for each one. Okay, so I'm using my Dollar Tree glue stick. It's a Jot glue stick. And I'm going to put the reinforcement on the back. All right, once that's all done, I'm going to take my ghost and glue them on the front. You can use double stick tape or Mod Podge, whatever you want to use, but glue sticks seem to be less messy and they dry quick. Okay, now I have to decide which, since they're going to be in pairs, which two would make a good pair. I'm going to use some hot glue and I'm going to place that down right on top of the other one, just overlapping a little, but we can still see their faces. And then I'm going to take their strings on the top and tie them together. Although functionally this is not really doing anything, I just think it looks better since they're together. It appears as though they are tied together instead of being glued together. Alright, now we're going to put a decorative bow on the top and we're going to fix these little guys up. I'm going to take some of this pom-pom string, or whatever you want to call it, wrap. I'm going to cut them in sections on the back so that you can't see it, and then it will just be the little pom-poms hanging down on the front. And I'm going to do that for each one of these. Okay, and then just trim up anything that you see sticking out from the back. Now here's the raffia, and I'm going to cut 4 pieces of the black, and then I'm going to be cutting 4 pieces of the orange. Just going to tie a simple bow, just a simple bow in the top. I call it a simple bow because it's easy to make, but I don't know if it actually has a name. It's just like how you tie your shoelaces, that type of a bow. Really easy. And I fluffed out a little bit. No bow goes unfluffed in my house. Not a single one. Even these little ones. You can trim up the tails if you want to. And I'm just placing the bow in the top center of both of them. Alright, and I've decided to finish them off. I want to use some type of a little sticker or what have you to embellish the little ghosts. And so these particular ones are little Halloween sayings, little trendy sayings. A couple of different ones that say, I think, spooky and Halloween sayings. And I'm going to put one at the bottom of each of these ghosts. There they are in all their glory. You can hang these off of the strings that are already on them, or you can use, if you want to extend it, you can use a half of a pipe cleaner on each one. Just make a loop, double the ends, and tuck it under so it makes sort of a ring. And that's it. Simple as can be. These are adorable. Do you like these? You know, these would be something easy to do with your children, with the grandkids. Just really easy. Let them pick what they want to put on there. They could use stickers even.
Welcome back. Now I have nothing against these adorable little pumpkins, but it's not in the color I want, but I love the shape of it. So I'm going to take this thick yarn that I have. You can use rope of any sort, twine of any sort, but I like this. I got it at Goodwill. I'm going to dismantle this pumpkin, take the stem off, take the little bag that is around it. Essentially it's a little bag. Then I'm going to make the hole in the top of the pumpkin a little bit deeper so that I can fit the knot of the string down there. You'll see it gives it a good starting point. This is a simple process. It takes a lot of glue and a little bit of time. Watch your fingers because you can burn yourself very easily. Alright, so I'm going to start off with a knot down in there. Then I'm just reloading my glue stick to my pitiful looking glue gun. And we're going to start in a spiral motion, going around. Now you'll notice when I twist this, I also twist the yarn in the direction that it is wound, because if you don't, it'll come unwound. You can see that there. When I don't twist it, it tries to come out of its shape. So I'm going to keep putting the glue down and twisting and pressing. So we're going to continue all the way down towards the bottom of the pumpkin in this fashion. Okay, so when you start getting to the bottom here, you're also going to have to add the glue to that row that's right next to it and then butt it up against there. And see how it wants to start pulling down. Okay, so I'm kind of putting the glue on the foam, also on the piece that is next to it. Twisting it like we did before, pressing it down onto the pumpkin and the row that is right before it. Click the little notification bell so you know every time I upload a new video. And give me a thumbs up. Then I'm just going to trim it off, twist it a little bit tighter. So now we're just going to choose whatever types of leaves that will fit your decor, whatever you like. Side a little more with rustic. So you know the routine here. We still have that little bit of an indentation in the top. You're going to just take your hot glue and put it in there, add your leaves to it, whatever type of little stem or extras you want. And that's that. Bye. So I'm starting out with these wood cutouts. They came from Goodwill, I believe. They were definitely thrifted. Any type of scrapbook paper you want to use. If you see here, these are embossed. So I'm going to turn these over and trace them onto the paper. I'm going to do the same thing with the other. I'm going to cut these out carefully. I made sure to push them all the way to the side so I could have some scraps of this paper left so that we can make some leaves. These pumpkins are not perfectly symmetrical, and I'm okay with that. Just got to make sure if it's not symmetrical that you're cutting your paper out on the correct side so you get the shape right. I decided to do this two different ways. I'm going to do one of them with a glue gun in case this is the method you want to use to fix it. And then I'll use a glue stick on the other one in case you want to use that one. I will say that these are holding up quite well, so either method works. So here we are with the Elmer's glue stick. But I also use the Jot glue stick and they seem to all work about the same. Okay, so the embossed paper pumpkin, this is the first side. Want to do a little something with the stem, so I'm just going to use this jute twine, which came from Dollar Tree, and just wrap it around. I want to be sure that it's a solid look, so you'll see me take my finger and just press it down kind of firmly next to the next layer. Add a little bit of glue and cut it off, or vice versa. Okay, so now I'm going to just make a leaf. It's probably not a pumpkin leaf shape, but it's still a leaf and it's going on my pumpkin, so it's a pumpkin leaf. And I'm going to trace that on to the black, or hold it on there and cut it out so that they are the same. And you can just hot glue those down or use your glue stick, whichever way. And then I want to put some ribbon on the top. These little pieces of ribbon came from the Dollar Tree. Almost like a cotton lacy ribbon. Really, I think pretty. You can go ahead and put those down with some glue. Once you get to layering like this, hot glue seems to work better to hold it together. So I've chose hot glue for that. Now I've just got these little chipboard fellas. One scarecrow, one mummy, and that's it. Now for the back. I've taken these envelopes that came with Dollar Tree cards for another project, and because I don't throw anything away, I had these envelopes left. I like this muted orange, so I've chosen to use this for both of this other side of the pumpkin. So I'm just putting the decorative side down, because remember, my pumpkins are not symmetrical. I want to get the shape right, and I'm just cutting those out. And here's the one with the glue stick. The paper is thin for these envelopes, so I just wanted to be sure. And see, I had a little slip there, but it went right back over. It's the good thing about a glue stick. You have a little time to move around. And then here is the hot glue. And I'm just using my ruler here to even things out. These came off of a banner from Target. I went ahead and glued the first one down with hot glue. And so I'm going to put the word boo on here. I like that it overlaps and it's kind of staggered. I think it's cute like this. And then once it's all down, you'll see me use that marker over there. That's a glass marker that came from Dollar Tree. I love it. It's got a long, thin, almost brush tip, and it has really good coverage. Really rich, dark black. So see, I'm just filling in those holes, and you really honestly cannot see that there's a hole in there at all now. So think about that when you see banners and things that you could repurpose. You can always take them off of your twine and use them for something else. Okay, so I just have some of these glittery pieces of stickers, and they came from some scrapbooking stuff that I had years ago, but you can use anything like this. I think there's some things at Dollar Tree that's similar. They might not be 3D, but they'll work. It's just a variety of swirls and squigglies, and so I decided to use these. Another set of stickers I've had for years. Might have been originally from Target, I'm not sure. And I just want to use some bats on here to make it appear as if the bats have been scared and they're all flying off together. So that's what I was going for in this. Trying to get my pattern straight. Then I wanted to add some little pumpkins on the bottom. And then I have this cute ribbon that I got from the thrift store. It's got little ghosts on it and it says boo on this side of the pumpkins. So I'm putting them a little bit lower down so when you're using the other side of the pumpkin you don't see it as much. Then I'm just going to take my sanding block from Dollar Tree and sand the edges down at an angle, and it leaves this finished edge. Alright guys, I hope you're enjoying the Halloween videos, and I hope you come back and subscribe. Be sure to comment if you have any questions below.
I'm going to use my Mod Podge again, the little cup, 2 little scraps of fabric. They're in fall colors, and then I have 2 pumpkins that originally came from the Target Dollar Spot or the Bullseye's Playground, whatever it's called. Okay, so take that Mod Podge, we're just going to put it all over the top of that pumpkin. Then I'm going to lay down my floral fabric. I think this is very cottagecore fabric. It is very 70s funky. I'm going to add a little extra for the stem. The other pumpkin, I decided to add some of that same oatmeal chalk paint all the way around the edges that were black, just to give it a different look, give you a different idea of how you can do it. You can get pumpkin forms anywhere. You can definitely get them at the Dollar Tree if your tree, if your Dollar Tree carries them. And you can use the ones that are thinner. They don't have to be chunky and thick like these. This is just what I had, so I'm just going to show you. Like I've said before, this is for inspiration. So I'm just smoothing it down, and then you'll want to put your second coat on there. You're going to seal it in. You're going to make this kind of tough. So I'm going all the way around the edges and extending past the edges as well. If you want a more crisp look, go ahead and paint the front of your pumpkin white, and that'll really show a lot better. But I like the muted look on this. So now this fabric with the Mod Podge is pretty thick, and it's easy to cut with a knife. Or you can use some scissors, and these are just cuticle scissors that I use for my little fussy cuts. Go around it like this and take your stuff off. Then I'm going to take a coarse grit sandpaper and just rub the edges smooth. You can see what I'm doing here. You can use an emery board for this as well. You can use your sanding block. Now we're going to do a little embellishment. I think these cute little rustic cottagey pumpkins could use a bow. What do you think? You certainly don't have to put a bow on there. You could do leaves or something like that, but I think little simple bows would do the trick. Sometimes you just need projects that are a little bit simpler looking when you have a lot of florals and other things that get a lot of attention. You don't want too much going on necessarily. I mean, for me anyway. I mean, you do you. However you like it, then that's what you want to do. What brings me joy is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to try to inspire you to do what brings you joy. So here we go. Our pumpkins are completely dry now, remember that. adding some hot glue, and we're gonna put our long stringy bows on there. I got cotton and jute and a little bit of orange jute. I think I thrifted the orange, but the other ones came from Dollar Tree. So they have twinsy bows. Very, very simple. It's an easy little project, and these would be so adorable to put on maybe a tiered tray or at your coffee station. It would be really cute. You could even print off some words, or if you have a Cricut, put some words on there.
With one of these little shadow boxes, we're going to use the front side and the back side. Mine is approximately 6 inches square. Then I've got some things like a wood burlap covered leaf, a burlap leaf from Dollar Tree, a little applique that came off another Dollar Tree item, and the sunflower. These were coasters that came from Michael's, and I just peeled them apart. And then we have some page dividers that I already had. All right, so we're going to get the inner measurements, and that's what we're going to use to cut the paper that goes on the inside. I'm going to mark that off, making sure that we don't get the part of the paper that has the holes in it. Just cut it out, and I always cut mine just a little bit on the inside of the line. And it ended up being a perfect fit. Taking just a couple of dots of glue here to stick it down, because I want to be able to take this apart and use it again. So this is going to be temporary, not permanent. Alright, so I just took a bead because there's a hole in the leaf here. I just took a bead and covered that up. You don't have to do that, or you could put your bow down further, whatever you want to do there. And I found these little squares at Dollar Tree. Just going to take the back and glue it on here. A little glue on top. To place it down, and it gives it some dimension there. You can see shadows around it, and I really like the way that looks. Alright, so the second part, we're going to choose another paper in another color. I like the yellow with the navy blue. And then we're just going to do the measurements of the outside of the box this time. Mark it off and cut it out. You could use double stick tape, you could use anything that you want there. I'm just going to use a little bit of hot glue. Like I said, I like to repurpose my items, so I'll take it apart and use it for something else later. You can use double stick tape, you can use a glue stick, whatever you want there. Alright, so I decided that I want to do this pumpkin instead of the leaf that I thought I might want to use. And this pumpkin came off of a little organizer thing for fall, and it had two sides and a box in between. And I peeled it off, and I've already used the other side. I thought this would be cute because it has the perforations in it, and you can see the design of the plaid underneath. This is a piece of the cork that I just cut a leaf out of, and then I'm going to reuse this because I think it looks good with the yellow. Two sides there. I hope you would subscribe and share this with your friends. Give it a like if you like the material that we've been putting out. Alright, we're going to start off with window clings and some little signs. These are chalkboard signs that I got at Dirt Cheap, but you can get some at the Dollar Tree. Something similar. Since this is for inspiration, you might not find the same things, but we can get similar things. And a lot of these signs you can just press with your fingers and pop the back out. If you can do it that way. If not, then you can paint it white. Then you're going to take some scrapbook paper or any type of decorative paper that you like. Something with a fall theme would be great if you're doing a fall tray. I'm just going to put that back down on there and flip it over, and then you're going to trace out around it. Take your scissors and cut it out, or use any type of a cutter that you have to get that the right size to cover up that background. I'm going to use my glue stick to go all over this. You can use Mod Podge if you would prefer. And we're just going to press that on. Smooth it down so it gets a good grip on your surface. I don't need these little hangers, so I'm just going to cut these off. We're going to be using it on a tiered tray, so it doesn't need a hanger. Now this should snug right back in there. You don't necessarily have to use glue on these. They pretty much stay where they're put. So I've just chosen a couple of little of these clings that I liked that would be cute on a tiered tray or maybe a coffee bar. I love the little sweater weather, and it looks really cute with that background.
And it almost makes the sweater look like it has a little plaid design on it. So that was our first one, and we're going to move on to the second one. These are so easy, something so simple for you. Especially if you're a first-time tiered tray decorator, you can definitely try something like this, and it's a lot of fun to do it. It's just repetitive right now. I'm going to take my little coffee cup pumpkin spice sign and put that down, and I decided I wanted to add a little something else to that, so I'm going to put a pumpkin there. Now all of these came off of the same sheet of clings from Dollar Tree. Alright, so I'm just going to take my glue gun here and put a bead of glue all the way around, just a light bead of glue all the way around the inside so that it doesn't pop out of the frame. It will actually stay in there if you get your paper trimmed up correctly, but I think I'm going to keep these around a while, so I'm just going to glue them down. Put it down just to hold these in place until they dry. Moving on to the next, I'm going to use a little more of that same paper. One of these little pins. This is just a metallic pen that I got from Goodwill. It's from Office Depot, I think. I tried the color and I like it. So I'm just going to cover this Give Thanks to put on the other sign. Now you can clearly tell when you look at this is too big to fit in the inside of the frame. It's too large for that, but we want it to overlap. It's going to give it some dimension, and it's going to give it kind of an interesting look. So when it's all colored and the pen dried very quickly, I was able to work with it immediately. I'm going to glue that back in, and you'll see how we put the Give Thanks on. So I'm just going to see where I want to put it, and I like it sitting on the outside. Just a little hot glue there, and put my Give Thanks right on top. There you go. All four of these signs are going to coordinate, and I'm going to show you shortly how that works. Okay, so these are just some little chipboard pieces of pumpkin scatter, I guess you would call it, and they came from Target originally. So I'm just getting an idea of which ones I want to put in there, and I'm going to make this kind of a 3D thing like this. The little squatty pumpkin is going to go in the background. I pushed it up to the top so you can see more of it behind the other pumpkins when we layer those on. I'm going to add some glue right on the corners, making sure that my pumpkin doesn't hang over the bottom because we want this to stand, and that the gourd here is in the same type of situation. We don't want anything to prevent it from standing up straight because it's going to be standing. And we're going to put a little stand on the sign so that it will hold itself up when we put it on the tiered tray. I'm going to add some hot glue, press down a little wood Jenga block from Dollar Tree, just like that, and it will be able to stand. Now you can start embellishing. You can do anything you want to make this your own. I'm just going to use a little tiny bow from Jupe right on the top of my little pumpkin in the background so that you don't forget he's back there. Okay, so here you go. Just showing you what these all look like, how they look together. Hey, if you want to show me some love, you can buy me a coffee. Look in the description box for the link. Thanks. You can see how these look together. And these. Everything coordinates nicely. So you could use maybe a few of these on your tiered tray and a few of these on your coffee stand. They look really nice together, I think. All the colors. Okay, so using the same clings, I'm going to use these wood rounds. This is just another idea of something you can do if maybe you prefer a more rustic look. You can take one of your clings and put it on a wood slice. These are actually ornaments that I got from Goodwill, but you can certainly get these at the craft stores, especially around Christmas time. So you just choose which one is going to be the best fit for your cling. You don't want anything hanging over because it could peel off. And you're just going to put your glue on there and then place it down. Now I've specifically put it where it covers up the stem. It really wouldn't matter one way or the other. I'm going to use another one of these wood pieces. This one's a little chunky piece that came in a bag from Dollar Tree. I'm making sure that it will lay flat. And then I'm going to take the flat part of that wood round, press those together so that it will stand on its own. Otherwise, it'll just roll around. You could definitely use a Jenga block on the back of these too, but you'll be able to see it. And I was trying to cover that up. So again, choosing the round that you like the best and placing your designs on. I think this is a very rustic look. And then just using a different piece of wood from the longer wood bags that you can get at Dollar Tree. I'm just giving you options here, so you're gonna see a lot of different stuff. I'm going to cut one of these clings. You can do it very easily, and then glue it down, kind of at an angle. And I'm going to use another little stick in the back to hold it up. And this is what these three look like. All right, then here we go with some pumpkin ornaments. You get these also at the Dollar Tree. You can use those stains from Dollar Tree, furniture repair markers. I'm going to use some paper and a different window clean set. So I've chosen maple as my color, and I'm going to color this pumpkin about a quarter of the way down. So I'm just making my line and filling it in there. Use whatever color you like. And then I'm going to use my plaid paper on the bottom half. Glue stick, I'm going to get it down really nicely on all the edges and corners. And then I'm going to place my paper down. Press it down and then trim it out. Then you can take your sanding block and just go around the edges. Choose which one of these you want to use. And we'll be putting that down again with the glue stick. These are such easy projects. I know you're going to be trying at least one of these, right? Okay, so we're just going to press that down. And yes, you can see it's a little bit kind of smoky looking. It's not completely crystal clear that you can see all the way through it, but I don't mind that. That's okay. Then I'm going to take my Mod Podge, and this is my matte Mod Podge. And I'm going to go over the whole thing so this will stay down. All of these layers will stick together, the wood, the paper, and the window cling. And then I'm going to take a little bit of checked or gingham ribbon, and I'm going to make just a little simple bow to go on the top of this. Pull it until you get it the right length, and then trim up those tails. This is super cute. There you go. Okay, now for my favorite two, we're going to use these monogram pumpkins from Dollar Tree. I have a P and an A, and I'm going to show you how you can take these apart. They're in two different layers here. You're going to take a thin wooden ruler or maybe a thin butter knife or something and just pry it gently underneath. It's just held down by glue, no nails. Then pull off the bow. Same thing here. We're going to go underneath, press, try not to pull or break that top layer. And then we're going to pull it off. Pull that bow away. Now we have two pieces for each one of these pumpkins that we can work with, and we're going to do them in opposites. I'm going to take some of this scrap paper that we just used so that our items will coordinate. I'm going to trim it, cut it out, and now I'm going to put the glue on it, press it down, simple, simple. I'm using the smooth side of that A. Either way, it will fit. And then the glue strip that's on the back is almost like rubber cement. It comes off so easy. I am going to use this beautiful plaid paper that I've had for a few years. You can see that it came from Target originally. I have traced it out and trimmed it down. And now I'm going to lay this beautiful, beautiful blue and orange plaid paper down on top of this pumpkin. And using my wood ruler, I'm just going to smooth it all out. It is a little bit of texture on there, so I'm just making sure that I press it down nicely. Now you can see there is an overhang from the paper, which is not a problem. We're going to go around with a sanding block and just clean up those edges. You can see how that paper just frays away and falls off. All right, now I want to add some leaves to this pumpkin. I'm going to trim down some of my large burlap leaves. Bet you know where these came from. Dollar Tree. Yep, you guessed right. Of course. Okay, hopefully they'll still have these. I got mine last year, so I had some left. Then I'm going to also use the oak leaf. So I have part of the maple leaf that I've cut, part of the oak leaf that I've cut, and I'm just trying to find the position that I like on the pumpkin for my little leaves. I generally put everything to the left, but for some reason, I wanted this on the right. Here I am trying it on the right, and this is why I haven't glued the center section down yet. I want to put the leaves on first. Since I know I want them to overlay like that, I'm just going to hold them and glue them that way. Using my little ruler here. Yes, I used it as a paint stir, so it looks terrible right now. Still serves its purpose though. I love it. All right,
Again, holding that in place because I know that's the right placement for it. I'm going to add some hot glue and press it down. Protect your fingers. There is a chance that the glue can come through the burlap. I'm going to take my hot glue, put it all over this layer of the pumpkin, and put it back in place. But wait, we're not done. Let's add a pretty bow. This is some ribbon that my friend and neighbor gave to me, and it's a very pretty little ribbon with little, I don't even know what you call that, trim on it. It's cute though. I'm gonna do another one of those super simple bows. This video is all about simplicity. Yep, that's the right size, just like that. I'm gonna take 2 little pieces of jute the same size, and I'm going to, at the same time, make the exact same type of bow. Pull it out, make it look nice, trim it down, then I'm going to trim that bow, that ribbon bow down to the same size, and just decide how I want to layer these on the pumpkin. Hey, if you haven't subscribed already, I would love to have you as part of my YouTube family. Thank you for all of your support and love. Here's my pumpkin. What do you think about it? Cute. Okay, so going on to the next pumpkin. This is how it's going to look, and we want to embellish the plaid section. I'm going to put my middle back on the pumpkin. You could paint the background if you wanted, but I like it just the way it is. I like the white there. And I've chosen this pumpkin out of a set of vinyl cutouts that were originally from Target. I'm going to put this down. I'm not going to use any transfer paper because I want you to see this can be done. You just have to be patient and careful in your placement. I've got some coppery looking wired ribbon here, and it's like a sheer ribbon, and also some of the same gingham ribbon that I used on another project in this video, and I'm just going to trim it up too, and I'm going to make a pretty bow for it. So this bow's a little bit different. I'm just going to cross it over and then walk the middle down to the bottom, just like that. I'm going to pinch it up, and then you can use some type of a clip to hold it in place while you work on the next layer of your bow. And this is going to be this one. Same little simple bow, and then we're just going to add that right on the top. I'm going to use another piece of that ribbon to tie those together, and that's going to give us some extra check tails. Tie that tightly in the middle, hold it in place, put another knot in there so it's not going anywhere. Then you can fluff it, and you can trim it where you want to trim it. You shouldn't need any extra hot glue to hold anything together. It should stay there nicely for you. And I know that I want to put it right up there where the original bow was. I'm going to put it there and use this clamp to hold it down until it is dry and set up. And this is how this pumpkin looks. All right, so I've got a bunch of my projects all together in this to show you how everything coordinates nicely. Use Dollar Tree and thrifted items. Look at this. I want to know which of these projects was your favorite. Was it the picture type signs that we made? Was it the wood slices, or did you like the pumpkins in the end the best? Or maybe it was the little ornament pumpkin. I would love to know what you think. Thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate every one of you, and I will see you again soon. Bye.